Seven, wave to Daddy. Do you see Daddy? Say hi, Daddy. Say hi, Dad. Okay, so this is my little sister, Seven Mercy White, and she has a syndrome called Down syndrome. So there are three types of Down syndrome, and she has the most common form, which is Trisomy 21. It just means that she has an extra copy of her 21st chromosome. So this results in some very specific features. A lot of times you can tell if somebody has Down syndrome by their eyes. They also, Seven doesn't have this, but they're prone to have just one line across their hand, and they usually have like a gap between their toes and a couple different very distinct features. A lot of people with Down syndrome also tend to have other disorders or other ailments such as heart defects or thyroid issues. Seven was diagnosed with a blood disorder, and it's more commonly found in babies with Down syndrome. And the risk with that is that a lot of times it can lead to leukemia. So at this point, she's hopefully grown out of that. But other than that, she sees well, she hears well, which are also things that some people with Down syndrome also struggle with. Her cute little feet. It's not super pronounced, but she does have a little bit of a gap. She also has had a lot of trouble with her core, just having a strong core, so we had to work with her a lot to help her to be able to crawl. She also has a tongue that she has trouble controlling, because a lot of people with Down syndrome have big tongues, and so it's really hard for them to keep them in their mouth. So one of the things that we have to work with her on is keeping her tongue in her mouth while she eats, and that will just help her to be able to talk in the future. And she's also super flexible. So she has looser ligaments, which makes her extremely flexible, which is also a common trait in people with Down syndrome, which is part of why she has trouble walking. So Down syndrome is a spectrum. There are no two people with Down syndrome that are alike. Oh my goodness gracious, she's crazy. Of course, there is no cure for Down syndrome. However, Seven started physical therapy when she was 6 months old, and she also oh my goodness gracious. She also has a music therapist, which she loves. Seven loves to sing. She loves dancing. Right now she's learning how to, she's starting to stand, and she can't walk yet, even though she is 15 months old. But she's getting there. She's very close. She gets into everything. It doesn't really prohibit her not being able to walk. She loves, of course, her parents, her siblings, Chick-fil-A, French fries, cell phones. Music is her favorite. She sings, she dances, she claps. You are messing up all my notes, Seven. But it's okay. Seven also loves bath time so much, especially when Daddy gives her baths. We found out that she initially had Down syndrome when she was born, and we weren't 100% sure if she had it. I remember feeling very just overwhelmed, not sure how to feel. And I remember like talking to my then boyfriend, who's now my husband, about it, and just, I think I was crying. Was I crying? Do you remember that? No, I was just like really upset because we didn't know, and we had been praying for a healthy baby and just hoping for the best. And so when she was born and we had no idea, I was like just not mad, but just upset and didn't know what to think. But then you just realize she's just a normal baby, and you just, like, everybody who's met Seven just loves her. She's the best. Yes. Say hello. You are the best, aren't you, Seven? Yes. She's moving so much, like her little soft spot is like pulsating. So about a week after she was born, it was actually Andre's birthday and the day he asked me to be his girlfriend, but I'm probably going to cut that out because it's irrelevant to the video. But my parents had to take Seven to the emergency room because she wasn't eating. And she ended up staying there for over a week. During Thanksgiving, my mom had to be in the hospital with her in the NICU because of this blood platelet disorder and because she wasn't eating. And that was when they officially found out that she had Down syndrome. And it's been a journey trying to figure out what was wrong with her stomach. And, oh, go get it. She did not gain weight. That's why she's so small, even at 16 months old, 15, 16 months. And she finally weighs 19 pounds. Seven is one of the biggest blessings in our lives, and her having Down syndrome does not make us love her any less or view her... Oh my goodness. Or view her as less of a child. It kind of gives her just this like innocence, and it just makes you love her even more. And girl, you are crazy. You are so crazy. She's insane. Okay. Here you go. Look.
Whoa. Wait. Yeah. Is it fun? Fun times. Touch fingers. So the doctor told us, first of all, when we were about, I can't even remember, maybe 9 weeks, would it be that soon? We had a DNA test, and they wanted to do the DNA test because I was older having her, and they wanted to see if there were any issues. So when the results came back, they told me that there was a 92% chance that the baby was going to have Trisomy 21, which is just another word for Down syndrome. So they kind of hinted as if to say, well, you know, you can fix that, so to speak. And I was like, no, it doesn't matter. You know, we're going to go through with the pregnancy, and whatever happens will happen. So that was probably early on, at least not between maybe 9 to 12 weeks. That's when we found that out.
Okay.
We never got, after she was born, when in the delivery room, the nurses were acting a little bit strange, and I think they were just kind of going off some of her features, the way the baby looked, as to, you know, I think they were whispering to the head nurse about whether or not, you know, I think they were probably talking about, I think the baby might have Down syndrome, Trisomy 21. But, you know, to us, she was just a baby. You know, she looked, maybe she had a little bit of some of the features, but we asked the nurse. And the nurse was like, well, she could or she could not. She doesn't have a lot of the typical symptoms, which she looked at her hands, which there's a marking of in the hands for the babies that have Trisomy 21. She looked at her feet, and it didn't have the typical gap between the big toe and the little toe, or the second toe. And also she didn't have the thing behind the head. So, but the nurse was like, no big deal. You know, the lady who delivered her, I think it was, I can't remember. The midwife. So when we were taken to the regular room, they, nobody else, neither did a full test or anything like that. I remember the pediatrician that we have for her, which we've had for all of our kids, he came by and he was like, you know, she looks good. The only thing that really happened to kind of say they probably were suspecting that she had Trisomy 21, because she really didn't look like it. It was like a toss-up. But there's a lady came by with this book, and it was about babies with Down syndrome and all their development and this whole packet of stuff, resources.
Kind of like what to expect when you're expecting, but it's like
what
for
to
Down
expect
syndrome
with your
babies.
Downs baby.
But you didn't really come out and say it. Nobody ever really came out and said, "Hey, your child has Down syndrome."
So
it's like a deep, dark
we
secret.
didn't find out really the official, just what was going on was when she was 5 days old, she got really sick and we took her to the hospital. And they basically did every test under the sun. And one of them was a DNA test. And that one was the one where they gave us confirmation that she had trisomy 21.
I think it was kind of a mixed bag. Number one, I knew... Hi. I know. That's exactly how I felt. It was a mixed bag, right? I felt like this is my baby, so no matter what the outcome, we were going to love this baby. I think number two, just the unknown of it, though, of not having a child with special needs like this before, and what was that going to be like, the challenges that were ahead of us and things like that. But I think ultimately knowing that this little baby was a gift of God, and being that she was a gift from God, we were going to love her and raise her the best we can, give her the most opportunities we can in life to excel and to just thrive. And she's surrounded by so many people who love her and care for her, and now she's taking off my lip. Ow. Thank you.
I really don't think that necessarily her diagnosis has been that we've had to kind of understand that some of the things she will learn, we have to work at it a little bit more. So we have therapists that come in to work with her twice a week. But I think the biggest thing is that she's the last baby. And this girl gets so much extra loving because number one, she's the last baby. But number two, she's just cute. Right?
I agree. I think for me, one of the big things is it's really made me aware of the special needs community a lot more. I think we've always been aware, but I think this is just taking it to another level for us. Knowing that, Rosie's sister Frances had Down syndrome, and, different people have come into our lives who've had Down syndrome or special needs. And so for us, I think this really just puts it at the forefront again about that community that's out there, that population that's truly just a special group of people. And that's typified by this special little human being right here that just stole my glasses.
One of the perspectives that I try to have is not to have any expectations on her based on any previous baby. She's her own person, and I love her just as much as I love the other ones. And when I see signs that they're ready to learn certain things, that's when I say, okay, now I'm going to work with Seven on trying to do this, because she is giving signs that she's ready for the next level. So that kind of keeps me, I think, keeps a perspective to say, let her be who God created her to be. But the other part of that too is because she doesn't have a lot of the physical outward signs of a baby with Downs, I try to take that same thought to say she's not going to be a typical baby with Downs. So I have high, great expectations for her. I don't know what that looks like, so I'm not going to put terms on it, but I believe she's going to do some great things. She's telling us about it.
I would say that I know it's might not be what you're expecting. It wasn't what you were hoping for. I think everybody hopes for a baby that's got all the right number of chromosomes and all the right number of you know, everything. And what you find is that I focus on the special part of special needs, all right, where this little baby is special. This baby is giving us more love than a lot of our babies, just because of who she is. You can see she's just full of life and energy and joy. And you know, don't be afraid. It's okay to be a little bit disappointed, but at the same time, be excited about, you know, the special gift that you're given, and that there's support out there. There's people that can support you and help you get through this as well, and be there for you.
I agree.
Whoa.
Oh, well, so how we came up with the name Seven. First of all, when we were pregnant,
Come here, monster.
she wants to go.
Come here, monkey.
When we were pregnant with Seven, we were praying about like what will be the perfect name for her. And for some reason, David and I both, we would have dreams about the number 7, and I don't know, it just kept coming up in books and on TV and that sort of thing. And we put it out on Facebook even, you know, anybody have ideas for names? Somebody actually came up with the name Seven. And I think that was the final, like, okay, I think God is telling us number 7 is the name, but the reason why that number kept coming, because it's the biblical number for completion. And I knew that she would be our last one. I felt like God was telling me she was going to be our last baby. And I thought, I want a way to say that in her name. Something to say completion, but also, you know, I was leaning towards like the promises of God, you know, that sort of thing. And when we finally came up with the name 7, it was like there was no disagreement on that for us. And she's
the 7th kid, and you know, the number 7 is considered the number of perfection as well, and we felt like it was a perfect name for a perfect little baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hey!
You gonna do it?
So she's just gonna clap. Yay! Say, oh, Dan.
7. Bye-bye.